Live from Channel 48 Studios, it's the Notre Dame Football Preview Show. Sponsored by Chuck E. Cheese's Pizza Time Theater and by Fuller O'Brien Paints.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jane Wertz, your host for Notre Dame Preview, and with me, of course, is Terry Daly, and we're going to have a lot of fun tonight. This is our second show. Last week, we just got going, and we didn't know what the season was going to bring. 52-6.
I don't know what we did, but we must be doing something right.
That is the biggest score in a long, long time, isn't it? Or if ever.
Jane, that's the most points scored by a Notre Dame team in the Purdue series ever. And that series goes back almost 55 years.
Well, in that game, I picked Notre Dame by 3, and you picked Notre Dame. Well, you liked you liked Purdue, but you love Notre Dame, right? So you picked them by what?
I picked them by 46.
No, you
I picked them by 14.
By 14, but they really did come on strong. So this week, they're favored by 18.5 points.
That's right. That's a tremendous point spread for a college football game where teams are such fierce rivals like Notre Dame and Michigan State. But the Irish attack was just awesome in that first game, and it was a question of getting ahead early, and then the game got broken wide open by a few turnovers.
We're going to take a good look at some of that as we go along tonight, Terry. I must mention your tie. I love it. Your wife doesn't like it too well, I understand. It's a Notre Dame tie. You have to wear it.
That's right, Jane. I haven't had this tie on in years. I brought it out of mothballs for this program, and when I got home that night, I got a lot of grief about wearing it. But my wife doesn't understand that people that are connected with sports, you get very superstitious. So the deal is, now that we had such a great beginning, I'm afraid I'm going to have to wear this all season long.
You'll notice I changed into blue and gold.
I think we converted you after 1 week.
No, Beloit's colors are blue and gold, and I'm trying to change their luck. For those of you who don't know, Beloit College, my alma mater, a small school in Wisconsin, didn't do as well as I would have hoped last week. I picked them over North Central, I think, what did I say, by 6?
I think you said by 6.
And you picked North Central.
By 21.
And the score was 44-zip. It was a very bad game. It's going to be better this week. We'll talk about that, too. Our other picks, Stanford, Oklahoma. I picked Oklahoma 6, and you did, too, didn't you?
Same thing.
So we were right on that, kind of. We did pretty well last week. San Jose, we picked also.
That's right. I think you almost hit that right on the nose. You picked them by 6,
yeah.
And they won by 5.
I got to tell you, I get a little help with this. Yeah. I mean, you know, I want to come off as a real pro on this. I do get a little help. Well, this week is going to be exciting right here on our show, and we want to get to it because we are going to ask you to call in 408-946-5353 a little later on. We're going to take a look at last year's Michigan State game, and, of course, that's who they play tomorrow also, so this is going to be an interesting contest. Lots to come, and we'll ask you to call in and talk to the coach, Ron Hudson, a little later, too. So we'll be right back after this.
When my mom asked me where to go for my birthday, I said Chuck E. Cheese's. Where everyone could go play games. Or watch a show. A show? Someplace where the food and fun are all there.
Hang in there, Howie. You can smile America with Chuck E. Cheese.
Sir, some of that Fuller O'Brien foolproof paint that's on sale.
What colors?
Colors?
Sure. We've got azure blue, woodland mist, brandied rose, Arabian night, sweet lavender, Wedgwood, rainy river, patch of blue.
Fuller O'Brien foolproof paint. 685 colors on sale for $9.99.
Hardy gray, pink luster, and deep splendor.
I think I'll take a gallon of white.
Smile, America, say Chuck E. Cheese. Smile, America, say Chuck E. Cheese. Food and games and all kinds of features. For a taste for pizza and theater, you can smile, America. Smile, America. Smile, America, say Chuck E. Cheese. Ooh.
preview. Well, let's talk a little bit about last week's game against Purdue. Terry, it was really quite a game, and Notre Dame did so beautifully. Their rankings are really up there now. What happened? Tell us a little bit about how you see last week's game.
Well, I think, Jane, the score was really deceptive. The teams are not that far apart from each other. Notre Dame obviously had a stronger team, but you were in a situation where Purdue started to try and test the Notre Dame defense. They did some initial running plays. They got stopped cold. Then the Irish jumped out to a quick 14-0 lead. When a team is forced to play catch-up, like Purdue was, they have to take chances. They went away from their game plan. They abandoned the running attack. They started to throw the ball. The Notre Dame defense was keyed for that. The front four teed off on those players. And then when you're in a catch-up situation, you're either going to catch up or you're going to fall far, far behind, because turnovers were critical in that game. A couple of turnovers, and it blew the whole game wide open, became a rout.
What do you see this week, then?
Well, I don't think it'll be anywhere near the same score. I think Michigan State has a far tougher defensive team. Last year's game was a real defensive struggle. I don't see that game being that much defensively oriented. I think the Irish offense was very, very impressive, though. They're deep, and they're strong, and they're talented. There have been a couple of injuries, which we'll talk about, but I still think that Notre Dame should win by at least the point spread.
If you didn't say that, I don't know what we do. Let's take a look at last year's Michigan State-Notre Dame contest. Just some highlights to catch us up to today, okay?
As Tony Hunter and his Irish teammates readied themselves in Michigan State's Spartan Stadium, little did they know what a day for defense it would be. Agile Kevin Griffith made certain the Spartans understood the game plan. With the Notre Dame secondary doing its fair share against the pass-minded Spartans, Mike Johnston took care of the scoring needs. The Irish Gold Rush defense took charge as first Mike Larkin and then Mike Gann did their part to hold the Spartans to 19 yards on the ground. The Irish took advantage of 6 MSU turnovers, 4 on interceptions like this one by Chris Brown, plus 2 more on fumble recovery. Kevin Griffith alertly gathered in one loose football. Another turnover, and Mark Zavagnan's recovery put the Irish in control. Mike Johnston did all the rest, as his soccer-style boots provided the margin in the 11-3 Notre Dame triumph that marked the first Irish road test of the year.
11-3. Now, that was a fairly good game then, and very close, really, last year. You don't look to see it this close, do you?
No, I really don't, Jane. Last year's Michigan State team was the only team during the '82 season that held the Irish without a touchdown. There are a lot of returning veterans on that team. They'll be a lot tougher defensively, but I think Notre Dame is far, far improved offensively this year.
Well, this last week was really something to see, and there were so many really outstanding plays on the part of Notre Dame. I mean, they ran all over Purdue, obviously. But you've picked out a few here that we're going to see, and in those, Terry, I think we're going to see some very different type things. It's not all touchdowns, but it's some really good people. Who are we going to see, and what happened?
The first play that we'll see, Jane, I think is very significant for a number of reasons. It's a Blair Keel touchdown pass to Mark Bavaro. He's a sophomore tight end, never caught a ball before in a varsity uniform. His first catch is a touchdown against Purdue. I think that young man will probably remember that the rest of his life.
Sure.
But I picked that play because it is a very, very difficult play to execute. I don't think 3 years ago that play would have been called in the Irish offensive playbook. 2 years ago, I don't think they would have had the confidence in Blair Keel to call it. And last year, I don't think that Blair would have had the physical skills to do that play. I'll show it as it comes on the monitor.
Okay, here we go with that, Terry, and then you'll be able to exactly tell us what Blair did so well.
It's a rollout pass to the left. Now, he's a right-handed passer. He has to throw off balance. You see, he throws on one foot. He throws it in there, and he has enough juice on the ball to complete it for a touchdown. Very difficult play to accomplish.
Really? Let's look at it
again. Here it is
again.
in slow motion. He's rolling to the left, but he's a right-handed passer. One foot is up in the air when he throws, yet he still has enough physical skills, power to get that ball into the end zone and not force it for the touchdown.
That's quite a play,
It was
isn't
an outstanding play. It shows the maturity of Blair Keel, his mental confidence to do a play like that, and his physical skills. I think they've really come together in this young man.
And he really played a great game all the time.
Outstanding game.
He really did. Okay, let's go on then. What was the next one?
The next one I've asked to show would be a run by Alan Pinkett. This really demonstrates some individual skills that this fellow has. It's a play that starts out to the left. It's a sweep left, and they'll see that it's basically a play that Purdue's defense covers. But this young man has such speed and such good moves that he turns a busted play into a long 20-yard gainer. He cuts back to the other side and runs against the grain. It's a great play.
Let's take a look at this right now, because Pinkett is someone we're going to be talking about all season long, without question.
Here he is. He gives off. He starts left. There's nowhere to go. He breaks a tackle. Now he cuts across the field away from all the tacklers and makes what looks like a loss into a 25-yard gain.
Oh, boy.
Players like, here we're going to see it again in slow motion. Players like Sayers, O.J. Simpson, Tony Dorsett, you've got to have tremendous physical speed to be able to turn a play like that and run basically on your own for that kind of yardage. This young man's going to be a superstar.
Oh, he sure is. That's quite a play.
It really was.
And the last one that we want to take a look at, Terry, also gives a real extra effort, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Incredible individual effort. We're going to see Greg Bell on about an 8-yard sweep into the end zone for a touchdown. I think he busts or breaks 4 different tacklers on his way in. The play breaks down early, and it's just his sheer desire and guts and determination. The announcer called it the nose for the goal line that carries him through on this play.
Okay, Greg Bell, here you are.
It starts off, there's a pitch, he's going to sweep left, he's got about 3 blockers in front of him, but Purdue covers it pretty well. They're out in front. Now there's one man that gets him, he shakes loose, another man hits him, he breaks that, another one, and he carries 2 guys into the end zone for a touchdown. Superb individual effort.
Let's take another look at it.
Here it goes again. Now, he's a big boy. He's about 6'2", 210 pounds, so he has the speed to get to the outside, but also the size to break through those linebackers. Look at that. Look at him pull those guys into the end zone for the touchdown. Great play.
Actually, the whole game was Notre Dame, one-sided practically the entire time, one bright moment for Purdue only. Did we have injuries enough to really cause a problem this week or in games to come?
Well, probably Coach Hudson will talk about that, Jane, but there was, for Irish viewers out there, there was one severe injury. Scott Grooms, on a sweep to the left, a nice run, he broke his collarbone, and he's out for the season. And what that means is, that means that young man, Steve Berline from Anaheim, California, who is only a freshman, now ascends to the number 2 spot on the quarterback roster. That means if something should happen to Keel during the course of the year, the Irish are in trouble. I think it's a very, very shaky position to be in, and it was a devastating injury.
It really was, wasn't it?
Broken collarbone.
Well, the coach is going to be calling. We invite you to call in and talk to the coach. We had a lot of fun with him last week, and this week we may have an extra surprise, so call 408-946-5353 right after this.
Where the food and fun are all there.
Hang in there, Howie. You can smile America with Chuck E. Cheese.
Sir, some of that Fort O'Brien foolproof paint that's on sale.
What color?
Color?
Sure. We've got azure blue, woodland mist, brandied rose, Arabian nights, sweet lavender, Wedgwood, rainy river, patch of blue.
Fuller O'Brien foolproof paint. 685 colors on sale for $9.99.
Hardy gray, pink luster, and deep splendor.
I think I'll take a gallon of white.
Smile, America, say Chuck E. Cheese. Smile, America, say Chuck E. Cheese. Food and games and all kinds of creatures. For a taste of pizza time. Chuck E. Cheese. You can smile.
Make believe you're in outer space. Throw a party at Chuck E.'s place.
You can smile.
Watch the gang go wild. So much fun you can't help but smile. You can smile. America, say Chuck E. Cheese. Smile, America, say Chuck E. Cheese. Food and games and all kinds of treats. For a taste of pizza time theater. You can smile, America. Smile, America. Smile, America, say Chuck E. Cheese.
Ron Hudson is on the line, the coach who talked with us last week. And Terry, I think we'll just say hello to the coach and get right at it, okay? Hi, Coach.
Evening.
Hi, Ron. How are you doing? It's Terry.
I'm just fine, thank you.
Boy, we couldn't have had a better effort that first week, huh?
Yeah, I'd like to repeat if we could, but you can't always expect a flawless game like we performed on last Saturday, but we're going to do our best to try to have the same kind of performance we did last weekend.
It's, Ron, I guess I asked you a question last week about what happens to a major team the night before a ball game. Having been a graduate of Notre Dame and knowing what the mood must be on the campus for a home opener, their first game, and I'm sure it's almost hysteria, does the team do anything different, or are they doing anything different tonight for the home opener?
Yes, right now I'm over at the seminary across from the lake, and I'm right now at this moment I'm staring out at the Golden Dome. She's lit up and it's gold and it's quite a sight. And we put the team up on Friday nights at the seminary, and earlier in the evening at 7 o'clock they went over to the gymnasium where they had a pep rally, and there were close to 8,000 people there, and they were really enthusiastic and fired up and excited about our first game against Michigan State tomorrow.
Well, Ron, I wonder if the score was so impressive last week. Does the fact that it was such a rout, evidently, does that cause any particular problems for you as a coach in either preventing the players from becoming overconfident or in giving them a break?
It's a definite problem, because what happened to Purdue was they just could not get themselves on track. They fumbled, and then they threw an interception, and fortunately we were able to capitalize on their mistakes. And before they knew it, in the first quarter, they were down 17-0, and so they had to really change their game plan. But we were, you know, very sensitive to their ability that they had with the people coming back, and so it just steamrolled. And like you said, that the team became very confident and had a great feeling, and we're very confident right now. But in reality, Purdue is not that bad a football team, and we face a real dilemma this week because Michigan State, their head coach is George Perlis, who a number of years was with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he installed that nose tackle tilt even defense that the Pittsburgh Steelers have been using for a number of years, and it presents us with a number of problems in our blocking scheme. So we are sensitive to the fact that we did so well, but you know, you try to keep that in mind that, hey, let's go out and compete and work hard and don't let this thing get to our head of what happened last week.
Ron, what actually is your role during the game? I thought I heard one of the commentators indicate that you were up in the press box calling plays. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. I'm communicating with Mal Moore, the fellow with the headset on, and he and I are coordinating the play calling on from the press box as well as from the sideline, and we're making adjustments upstairs in terms of what the defense is doing to us, and then we're going to try to call plays to take advantage of what they're doing.
Do you actually call the plays, or you just call a series or a sequence that might be effective?
Now will call several of the plays, and then if I feel that there is a play that should be called because of what I see upstairs, then I'll call a play. I'll call several of the pass plays, but the reasoning behind that is because there may be something that I can see that Mal can't see downstairs, so then I'll make the call, and we kind of coordinate the play calling.
Okay.
Coach, hold on just for a second. We want to mention our phone number. We do have Coach Ron Hudson on the line, and we'd like to have you call in your questions for the coach right now, and the number is 408-946-5353. We invite you to do that and do it quickly because Notre Dame fans, you've got a coach on the line. One more question, Terry, and the lines are starting to light up, so go ahead.
Ron, I guess everybody wants to know what's the injury report from last week's ball game.
We got some problems there, Terry. Mike Shiner, the young man from Sunnyvale, will not play tomorrow. He strained his knee again, and he will suit up. If we are in real trouble and we're struggling on offense, then we'll try to put him into the game. But at this point, he is not going to play. Neil Manny, our starting strong guard, twisted his foot last Saturday. He hasn't practiced all week, and he did suit up today just in sweats, and it's a real problem we have because two of our starters may not play tomorrow, and that presents a real problem to our overall scheme. But otherwise, we're in pretty good shape. We have Joe Barrs coming back, the middle linebacker, who will be able to back up the young Mike Kovalevsky, the young freshman, much like Joe Howard appears to be healthy from last weekend as well.
Coach, we have a call. We'll put you on hold and take that. You'll hear it, we hope, this time. Then we'll bring you back, okay?
Right.
Okay, line 2, you're on the air. Thanks for calling.
Yes, I had two questions concerning the quarterback situation. Number one, I wanted to know if Scott Grooms was going to lose a year of eligibility because of the time that he played before the injury. And second, I was interested in the situation with Joe Felisky, I believe it is, who apparently contracted some kind of illness during the summer and is still at the university, but his ability to play is questionable.
Okay, if you just watch your television, you'll get those answers in just a second. Thanks for calling. Coach, did you hear those questions?
If I remember, if I could hear it, was he referring to Scott Grooms in terms of his eligibility?
Yes, Coach.
Yes, well, Scott will lose this year of eligibility because as a sophomore, he left Notre Dame, and last year he came back, so he had to sit out last year, and that was his redshirt year. So this year, it is costing him a year of eligibility, so he has 1 year of eligibility left.
Is he definitely out for the season?
It's anywhere from 8 to 10 weeks. It just depends on how fast it heals. Right now, he's in quite a bit of pain, and that was a severe blow, but, you know, we've got the young man, Steve Berline, behind him right now, and we're trying to bring him along slowly. It's an uncomfortable position to be in, knowing that you have your backup quarterback at this level as a freshman.
And we had another part to the question.
Did you hear the other part, Ron?
Right. Joe Felisky was, quite frankly, nearly died this past summer. He had an intestinal problem where he collapsed one evening, and they had to operate that night. The specifics of the operation I'm not sure of. But 2 days later, they had to go back in again. But he has come back from that. He's healthy now in that regard. His knee, he had an operation on his knee, and he is slowly coming back from that. But he's up to about 80%, and he practiced this week. And matter of fact, I spent about 25 minutes with him after practice yesterday just on fundamentals. So we're looking for Joe to help us in the future. He will redshirt this year because of the injury problem. But Joe is a fine prospect, and we're just anxious to see what he can do when he gets back to 100%.
Okay, let's take another call. Thanks for calling. Line 2, you're on the air.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, I wanted to find out what date the Southern California game was and if there are any tickets available.
Aha, now that's a good question that we'll find out during the course of the time since we have the coach on, and we can answer that, right?
Yes, the Southern California game is October 22nd. I would doubt very, very seriously, Jane, whether there are any tickets available for that game. The Michigan State game tomorrow is a sellout, and it is the 98th consecutive sellout at Notre Dame Stadium. And Southern California will be a far more attractive game than Michigan State. So unless you've got a special friend who has an inside track, I don't think you can get any tickets.
How about if you're a Subway alumni enthusiast for 59 years?
Well...
Oh, gosh.
I wish you all the luck in the world, but I think it'll be very, very difficult to get a hold of those game tickets.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Line 3, you're on the air. Do you have a question for the coach?
Yeah, my name is Greg, and I'm calling from San Jose, California. And I was just wondering, when Notre Dame plays Oklahoma, do you think Marcus Dupree will be able to get through Notre Dame's line?
Well, Notre Dame doesn't play Oklahoma this year. Maybe you might be thinking about if they play them in the Cotton Bowl, but I'm not sure whether that'll happen. They're not on their regularly scheduled games this year.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for calling. We are almost out of time, and those two calls were such that Terry took them, Coach. Terry, do you have another question for the coach here before we leave, and then we've got to get out of here?
Sure. Ron, one quick question, Coach. Along the lines of what we were talking about with you calling the plays, does Blair Keel have the discretion to call his own plays or to check off at the line of scrimmage, call any audibles?
Oh, yes. Tomorrow, for example, against Michigan State, he'll be checking a great deal. And some plays that we call, that Coach Moore will call or myself will call, he'll come up with the line and understand by the teaching that week that defense is got a great chance of stopping that play. Well, if it stops that play, it doesn't necessarily mean it can stop another play, and he'll have a regular plan for each defense, what the weakness of that defense is, and check off to that particular play that will best suit against that defense.
Okay, thank you very much, Ron, for taking the time to give us a call again this week.
Okay, the whole team, Terry, is in watching Patton, so that'll get us ready to play tomorrow.
Good luck, and thanks again, Coach. We're going to be right back with a wrap-up and a look at the game and our picks for the weekend right after this.
Sir, some of that foil Brian foolproof paint that's on sale.
What color?
Color?
Sure. We've got azure blue, woodland mist, brandied rose, Arabian nights, sweet lavender, Wedgwood, Rainy River, patch of blue.
Fuller O'Brien foolproof paint. 685 colors on sale for $9.99.
Arty gray, pink luster, and deep splendor.
I think I'll take a gallon of white.
When my mom asked me where to go for my birthday, I said Chuck E. Cheese's. Where everyone could go play games. Or, watch a show. A show? Someplace where the food and fun are all there.
Hang in there, Howie. You can smile America with Chuck E. Cheese.
Okay, we got a little insight from the coaches to actually what is going to happen. We have just a couple minutes here to kind of fill in as to what we think is going to happen. And so let's go to our picks, okay? I have mine all here someplace, so I'll pick them out here, and we can take it from the top, and we'll wait on your other one, all right? Okay, Cal plays San Jose State.
That's always such a fierce neighborhood rivalry, but I like Cal in their home opener. I think that they're going to win by 3.
I'll take San Jose in 6, okay? Stanford in Illinois.
2 tough back-to-back games. Now Stanford has to go all the way back to Champaign, Illinois. I like Illinois by 7.
I like Illinois by 5. Born and raised in Illinois, I have to say that, don't I? I'm picking a new one this time, Terry. Wisconsin and Missouri, because my daughter's a senior at Wisconsin, and I love to watch that team play.
You're really trying to sandbag me.
Yeah,
I wasn't ready for this one. I think Missouri Tigers are a little bit too tough, even though they're playing Wisconsin's home opener. I think I like Missouri by 2.
I like Wisconsin by 7,
We'll
okay?
see.
All right. Beloit didn't do too well last week, but they're playing Northwestern this week. But it's not the Northwestern we all know. We don't even know what Northwestern it is, someplace in Wisconsin. They gotta win. What do you think?
Well, I'm not really familiar with Beloit's prowess as a football team, Jane, but based on last week, I think I'll be safe if I pick their opponents every week of the season. So I'll take Northwestern Military, whatever the school is, from Wisconsin by 7.
And I'll take Beloit in 17. And Notre Dame, you'll take with?
Well, the Irish are going to roll again tomorrow. I like them by 21.
And I like them by 10. We're out of time. Next week, you have a special guest?
Next week, we're going to bring Joe Sweeney on. Joe graduated in 1974, was the head football coach under Ara Parsegian, the undefeated national championship team of 1973.
The highlights will be on Sunday at 4 o'clock right here on Channel 48, and we'll see you next Friday night. Have a good night, everybody.
The Notre Dame Football Preview Show has been brought to you by Chuck E. Cheese's Pizza Time Theater and by Fuller O'Brien Paints. Join us next Friday night at 7 for another exciting Notre Dame football preview.
Pretty difficult normally to hold on to the lead because the guys behind you